Welcome to the Survive2Thrive Radio Network at www.survive2thrive.net. Times are getting tough for most of us, and being prepared has never been more important. All of our hosts strive to keep you well informed so that you can achieve optimum health in all areas of your life. If you feel that the shows and website are informative, please share this information with your friends and family. If you would like to see certain topics covered, please let us know. Join us on Facebook to help spread the word. You can find the link at the bottom right of the Survive2Thrive homepage. Enter Health Botanicals is the sole sponsor for this network, providing you not only with important information, but also with highly effective products that produce real results, such as Enerfood, coconut milk powder, liver cleanse, Cocoa Mojo, Silymarin, NutriCafe, and introducing the new 40-day, 40-night organic preparedness pail. A preparedness supply unlike any other on the market today. Supporting Enter Health supports both this network and your own health. Without good health, we go nowhere. Go to Survive2Thrive.net and click on the Enter Health banner on the top right for automatic discounts, or call them at 866-762-9238. That's 866-762-9238. You can also go to their website at www.enerfood.com. That's ENERF like Frank, OOD like dog.com. Enerfood.com. A big thank you to all of our listeners already taking the products that Enter Health offers. We truly appreciate it. We thank you for your support and encourage you to listen often to stay informed during these crucial times.
It is Thursday, 2/22/2018. This is a live show. Isaiah 17, the burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. The cities of Ar-Or are forsaken. They shall be for flocks which shall lie down, and none shall make them afraid. The fortress also shall cease from Ephraim, and the kingdom from Damascus, and the remnant of Syria. They shall be as the glory of the children of Israel, saith the Lord of hosts. And in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. And it shall be as when the harvestman gathereth the corn, and reapeth the ears with his arm. And it shall be as he that gathereth ears in the valley of Rephaim. Yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it, as the shaking of an olive tree, 2 or 3 berries in the top of the uppermost bough, 4 or 5 in the uppermost fruitful branches thereof, saith the Lord of God Israel. And that day shall a man look to his Maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel. And he shall not look to the altars, the work of his hands, neither shall respect that which his fingers have made, either the groves or the images. In that day shall his strong cities be as a forsaken brow, and an uppermost branch which they left because of the children of Israel. And there shall be desolation, because thou hast forgotten the God of thy salvation, and hast not been mindful of the rock of thy strength. Therefore shalt thou plant pleasant plants, and shalt set it with strange slips. And in the day shalt thou make thy plant to grow, and in the morning shalt thou make thy seed to flourish. But the harvest shall be a heap in the day of grief and of desperate sorrow. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing, is it rushing of nations that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters. But God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. And behold, at eventide trouble, and before the morning. He is not. This is the portion of them that spoil us, and the lot of them that rob us. Now, Russia deploys 2 brand new Su-57, Sukhoi 57 stealth fighters to Syria. This was over at zerohedge.com. Unverified photos, video footage emerging on Twitter Bird, showing 2 Russian Su-57, also known as the PAK-FA or T-50, landing at Kenamin Air Base near Latakia in northwestern Syria. 2 stealth combat aircraft were reportedly part of a larger attack package deployed by the Russian air base in Syria. Okay, so now they got their first frontline Su-57s. And then we've got in the area F-22 Raptors, but of course our F-22s still have oxygen problems, okay? And probably Chinese chip problems, all right? And so consequently we have an interesting thing going on here. Now, the Su-57s by themselves are quite interesting, but they've got a full package, and it seems to me as though the Russians are basically loading up and getting ready for a Gog-Magog war, okay? But here's the key here. In Isaiah, we talk, the nation shall rush, and I've talked about this many, many times, shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them. And they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff. Now, when you set off a nuclear weapon, an atom bomb, a hydrogen bomb, you have chaff from that, glitters down, from the explosion, from the mushroom cloud, you see. And it shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. In other words, you have a shock wave that rolls and rolls before the whirlwind or the big mushroom cloud, you see? Now, it looks as though that you might have to see here that maybe Israel uses a nuclear option because they're forced to. Now, how could they be forced to? Why would the U.S. not be the one that does it, or what have you? Well, it's possible that it could be the U.S., but it's also possible that it's Israel, and then would that not also be the hook in the jaw to bring Gog-Magog against them? Now, why would we have a situation where we've got all of our assets over there too, and the Israelis do? But, you see, the Israelis had an F-15I, I believe, probably, get shot down by Hezbollah in Syria. Shut down by a terrorist group armed with the money that Obama gave back to the Iranians, who may still become the people of the blue fez, the head of the blue fez that old Nostradamus even talked about, and how he launched on Europe. But anyway, the fact is here is that the Russians, along with the Iranians, perfected, we've talked about this a number of times, for the last few years, okay? Perfected a new electronic warfare capability that was farther ahead of the U.S. capabilities, and that it was able to knock U.S. aircraft out of the sky. Now, do you remember back when we talked about the F-16, I believe, that was coming out of South Carolina and got knocked out of the sky in the woods in Georgia? Do you remember at Navarre Beach in Florida, the 2 U.S. Army or Air Force choppers? I don't know if they were Army or Air Force, but whatever they were 2 the U.S. choppers were at Navarre Beach, and then all of a sudden a green mist or fireball came out and the one was able to get out of it. The other, it surrounded that particular chopper and then blew it down into the ocean. Remember that? You remember all of the other takedowns of the USS Donald Cook in the Black Sea? One pass over with the Sukhoi, boop, Donald Cook, dead duck in the water. Arleigh class Aegis capable, the highest level of technology the U.S. Navy had on the hook, you see. Power grid all turned off, power all turned off, no capabilities for defense, dead duck in the water. Then we go on and all the other naval vessels taken out by some strange, you see, electronic force or some kind of, they'll call it hacking or whatever, and they'll get down to the fact that they want to fire change the whole thing, that sink pack is no longer ready, and that therefore command should go back to Norfolk and all of that. Well, if it goes back to Norfolk, then who's going to take care of it when you got a whole other timeline and you got all the shellbacks out there in an old other world? Well, consequently, you have a situation, and now what did I also say? The Iranians and the Russians, because some of the new EW was Iranian devised capability. Probably some of those, never mind. I remember going to college at one particular point in time, and a whole bunch of what they called Persians were all in the engineering schools, and half of them were taking electrical engineering, and probably some of these guys helped develop the craft with the Russians. So therefore, let's say that these Su-57s and all this new stuff that the Russians got there, knock another thing out of the sky, take out a Raptor or two, do some real damage, and then they've already threatened Saudi Arabia in the one portion of the Syria, the very far eastern portion. You got Saudi Arabian forces there. Well, let's say that they knock out another Israeli plane or two or American plane or two with the EW, or shoot them down with the, they probably got S-400 systems all over the place. The S-400, they may even have a 500 up in there, but I doubt. They probably have multiple S-400s. That gives them total command of the entire Middle East battlefield with the S-400s. So if they're going to go to that, and Israel might be outmatched, so to speak, and U.S. aircraft outmatched, so to speak, unless we would bring to bear the TR-3Bs and the bigger craft and the solar warden stuff that could come down and lay waste to the entire Iran, lay waste to Syria, lay waste to Russia, or large portions of it, or China. But here's the deal. Let's say they don't do that. They don't use the breakaway civilization, highest level spacecraft. Because control of same varies and fluctuates on a daily basis about who controls what, who controls that, and there's constant warfare between the factions in the highest level of the military that the regular military really doesn't even know that much that they exist. People say, well, it's the same dadgum Pentagon. No, it ain't. You got black budget, and who knows what really is what in the black budget. And then even within the black budget line items, who knows what's what in amongst those. So let's say that Israel is then forced to use the Samson option, the nuclear option, and launches everything in their pod, and maybe some of the buried nuclear weaponry, because the Israelis got good people who can sneak in places. They got excellent Mossad types and Sayeret Mactal types. That's tip of the spear, or tip of whatever. They're commando that could go in, and then many people have said that the Israelis have buried nuclear devices very deep down under certain areas in certain capitals of the world. So that if they're ever attacked, they can pop goes the weasel and blow something like that. Well, if they launch, and here it is in Isaiah 17, the nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. You see. So if Israel were to launch, that would sure cause Isaiah 17 11 through 14 to go on and happen, wouldn't it? And you see, if you go on over then to Ezekiel, I just want to show you how this could all be tied up, and we could be so close to it again. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. And say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords. I think the all sorts of armor, even a company with bucklers and shields, I think that is tanks, okay? And all of them handling swords, they all have that gun out there, which could be like a sword. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north, quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, that they shall dwell safely, all of them. And thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, and thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God. Now here's verse 10. So they're going to come, Gog is going to come against Israel. But then verse 10, Thus saith the Lord God. Are you listening out there? It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, that thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil, and to take a prey, and to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. So it's from the Midwest, from, like Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, west, you see, into the areas that are more desolate, all right? But now those are cattle country, you see. Sheba and Dedan and the merchant of Tarshish, with all young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, and to take a great spoil, you see. Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto Gog, thus saith the Lord God, in that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know of it. And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land, and shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes. So when they come, the Lord is going to give strength to Israel. Israel is going to launch everything they got in their pod. And then when you go to Ezekiel 39, you talk about what's going to happen. Many people read Ezekiel 38, but they don't go read 39. And should you not read these to your children and talk with them about it? You know, we need to get our kids to understand what's getting ready to happen and to be tougher. And to not be the snowflakes, you see. And I just sometimes wonder, what would happen, you know? And at some point in time, why didn't somebody from the football team or the wrestling team run up behind the son of a buck and then break his damn neck? This Kid Cruz, you see? And I understand hiding out, but at a certain point in time, remember on that plane, it was let's roll, you know? And you might have something else that you might have at hand. A poking stick, some kind of a thing, a hammer from shop class. I guess they don't have shop classes anymore. But maybe he could have snuck up behind him in terms of a magazine change and grabbed that sucker by the neck and cracked it. I tell you, this whole thing is just nuts. And I still am going to say, because we talk about Parkland and all of this stuff, because it all ties in. I'm going to tell you, you got Lucifer coming to wants to take over in this world and install the new world order so they can grind you, so they can take you and put you into their spots, into their places, and destroy you and grind you and kill you as a blood sacrifice to bring their little g God, Lucifer, onto this planet, you see, and to overlay or possess the body of the Antichrist, who's going to be jawboning and talking up a storm with the false prophet, who we may already have seen him to be somebody sitting on Vatican Hill. And I don't understand it. Here it came out late this afternoon, as well as the FBI blowing 2 clear-cut warnings about the exact name person blowing it. And what does the FBI do? Remember I was telling you the other night, those who got to listen and those who didn't get the archives, go back and get that Friday archive. You can get it at the additional archive spot, www.soundwaves2000.com/survive2, that's the number 2, thrive. In case we have any problems in the future with an archive, you can go to the alternative archive spot, www.soundwaves2000.com/Survive2Thrive. Now, remember, if you were listening to me last week, or if you did catch the archive, because we had a tremendous amount of trouble with the show being taken down on Friday, and I tried to email a number of you, but the show got taken down on Friday, and it was a case of Survive2Thrive's entire webpage kind of getting knocked out of the box. And it got knocked out of the box like Wednesday night, and I discovered it and alerted Inner Health Botanicals to it, and they were able to fix it on Thursday. We went up live Thursday night on the show here. Friday night, it was supposed to be fixed. It didn't get fixed, so consequently, I was not able to do anything but with the satellite uplink, gsradio.net, gsradio.net. I did go up live on the satellite uplink, and you could listen also then at www.gsradio.net. You click on Listen Live and go to Global Star 5, and you can listen live as an alternative. www.gsradio.net. Listen live, and then go to the Global Star 5, and you can go there and listen as an alternative in case we would go down on the Survive2Thrive site again. Now, what I said the other day, which is quite interesting. Remember, I was talking about old Malibu Bodie Bowditch. Malibu Bodie Bowditch, the guy with the hair was so perfect, like the werewolf of London. His hair was perfect, you know. And old Bodie Bowditch, if you remember, was the FBI, FBI Special Agent in Charge, Sensitive Confidential Information Unit, SIU Unit, up, of the San Bernardino terrorist shooters. And there was the man and the wife, remember, that were the shooters. But then there was the third person with them in the car, who the local San Bernardino police chief said that his men chased him down the back alleyway, or down the backyards behind the houses and creeks and such, and caught him, that person was in their custody. It was the third person. Well, then next day, that, police chief never got to talk again, and the FBI, the federal, boys institute, are fiddling with boys internally, brings in Malibu Bodie Bowditch to slow walk the whole thing and to cover it up. Now, Bodie Bowditch, all of that went away. That third guy, that was the handler of the two terrorists. Who was running the handler? Who was the handler? Was it the FBI, Div 5? Was it Obama, Jarrett? Was it the Russian Spetsnaz that were hired and paid under FEMA, DHS, and Northcom auspices, directed by and hired by the Joker Ted Obama, who allegedly was brought into the fold of the KGB and recruited at age 16 when he was a Muslim student named Barry Soetoro in Indonesia, and his mommy was a CIA agent and also a double and a triple probably for somebody else, and granddaddy was a 101st Airborne, but he was also a socialist. But then there's also the aspect of the Joker Tut being involved at an early age with the time travel and the time jump people. Go see Andrew Basiago and his stories about the time travel experiments and stuff that were done by the U.S. government, ultra black, many moons ago. And I guarantee you, they're real. All right? And always comes out of Ohio and New Jersey. Some engineering firm, you see. But ladies and gentlemen, old Bodie Bowditch, the one who made the third guy go away and bored you to death. But oh, he looks so pretty with his gelled up hair and the smooth marcelled up. Now he's got a little tighter or something. He's got a little different look to him. Maybe a little shorter. So that way he doesn't overshadow. Christopher Ray with his Bobby Kennedy-looking hair out of Yale. You see, not Harvard, but out of Yale, where the spooks go to school, and you got the Bonesman, 322, And that's the 322nd, Deal of German Illuminati. We'll be back with Malibu Bodie Bowditch, who's now an assistant deputy secretary, the assistant of the third class private of the deputy director of the FBI. We'll be back in a moment.
Hello there, and welcome to the bottom of the hour. This is Darren Craddock for Inner Health Botanicals, sole sponsor of the Survive2Thrive Radio Network, bringing you the Hawk on Thursdays and Fridays, Nurse Amy and Dr. Bones on Tuesdays, and myself with Total Health Freedom on Mondays and Wednesdays. We are all here to keep you informed and tell you more about how to stay healthy and aware. We talk on staying well naturally, being prepared, growing your own, and more. With the right tools, foods, and information, we give you the kind of truth that will set you free. Please support our network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hawk on Survive2Thrive.net. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you what. If you want to keep old Hawk in the game, striking blows at Lucy's shins and bopping Lucy upside the head with the old Louisville Slugger, then I need your help. I can use it. That's what keeps me on the air. And you've done that and kept me around for 14 years now, going on 14 years, I believe. But anything that you can send, please send it. Keep old Hawk fighting the Lucy's. Send it to Hawk, 3965 West 83rd Street, number 356, Prairie Village, Kansas, 66208. And let me tell you something. It is just incredible anymore about what's going on, and it doesn't give you a break day to day to day. And if you're sitting there watching it, and we have all a tendency to watch it and to get interested in it, you need to back up away from it. You need to analyze what's going on and see where it's going to take you if you extrapolate down the road. And what's extrapolating down the road is a situation where you need to be preparing. And I'll tell you what, there's all kind of stuff to get and do, but Inner Health Botanicals, you get a 40-day, 40-night pail of high-quality organic food. You can get if you're using other long-term storage food, like Mountain House or, whatever, Wise, Numana, whatever it might be, Alpinair. You can get the Enerfood, ENERFOOD, and you can go to enerfood.com and get it because it will help you stretch. You drink a shake or two a day and you get the basic nutrients. So you could maybe either with that or with meal replacement powders that Inner Health Botanicals also has, meal replacement powders that you can make a shake out of. So where then you can have a nice big full supper or full breakfast, whichever you choose. And then the next couple meals, go slower and drink the shakes. But it'll keep you with the basic nutrition, you see, that you're going to need to stay in the game because you might be in the game a long time. Good article done, I believe, by Selco again. It's done, let's see, I believe by Survival Dan. 101.com, survivaldan101.com. And it says, when surrounded by death, destruction, and the loss of almost everything you held dear, how will you cope, especially if the crisis drags on for months or even years? How do you guard yourself against the deterioration of morale and the duration of an extremely challenging ordeal? You see? It's mental health, it's physical health, all of this. And I'm going to tell you what, you better not quit preparing. And everybody who thinks it's a happy day is here again, you know, well, let me tell you something. The Bible doesn't say that that's what's going to be. Not until Lord Jesus and his angels come back and take the tares and root them up and shoot them into the fiery furnace and get rid of them and fight the devil himself, Lucifer, and his minions and hosts at Armageddon, and takes all of them down. Then you're going to have peace on this planet, and Lord Jesus will reign. Okay? But until then, if you get some, extra good times, then surely enjoy it. But at the same time, do not quit in your preparations. More food, more firearms, more ammunition, more NBC gear, nuclear, biological, chemical gear, gas masks, Tyvek suits, the booties, the gloves, the hoods, the whole 9 yards. Expedient shelters, real shelters where you build a shelter in your basement or something, or you have an expedient shelter, or you can put up in your basement the FEMA directed lean-to type thing where you get plywood, and you can take plywood and set it up at an angle against the side of the wall. If you have like a 2x10s or 2x6s around on the outside of it as like a box in the shape of a U, then you can stock up bricks or, concrete blocks, flat concrete blocks that are solid up the line, and that to provide you with some extra material. And then you can put your mealy bags and your, wheat and your barrels of water and all the stuff at either end. You can put up a metal sheeting, a piece at each end, and you can get inside there, and that can be done and pile all kind of other, the shop bench, the extra furniture, whatever you got around it. I would urge, if you never have gotten it, which you can download it off the internet, several different places. Cresson Carney, Cresson, Cresson Carney, Kearney, I believe. Cresson Carney's How to Survive Nuclear Warfare. Then also, if you haven't read it, you should get this, because this you could get easily too. 1 Second After by William R. Forstchen. Forge Books. 1 Second After, William R. Forstchen. Now, there's a whole lot of people out there trying to poo-poo. The lefties are trying to poo-poo the EMP problems, you see. Good article that, I believe that was up there tonight or this afternoon at, I think it's up on stevequail.com, and it's from All News Network, whatever. And they've got an article from a expert on EMP and discussion of the EMP Commission, all of that kind of a thing, and how that EMP is real, but the lefties are trying to discredit all of that information and let you go willy-nilly into the bullcrap. You see, the top Lucy's think they're going to go to the bunkers and survive, and meanwhile kill off about 90% of the population of the United States, which is what the congressional committees on EMP found, is that after 1 year, after an EMP that knocks down the power grid, which also would take out the computers in the vehicles, the cars, all the things, the computers and all the other items, unless you've got them in a Faraday cage, something to protect them, which it could be in some cases. You might put them into a galvanized trash can with a tight-sitting galvanized lid and put them in there, and you put them on some inside the trash can, maybe on some cardboard. or you've got smaller items and you have a small laptop or something, you want to put it into a deal. But the fact is, if the grid's down, you're not going to have the internet. You might have what you've saved on your computer. But I would also tell you it's time to start buying how-to books and get the physical book, the physical book, the physical book, or go to learn to live in a library. Remember the movie Logan's Run? Where Logan and the girl end up, there's an old guy, lives in the library with the kitty cats, remember? So he knew what everything was. And Logan, these people, years later, don't know anything about it because they've been raised like idiots, you see, in a small-scale farm, all right? Concentration. 90% dead in 1 year in the United States after a total EMP of the power grid. So that would leave only, say, 33 million or 35 million people. It's not too far from Deagle's CIA site telling what the population is getting ready to go to be. Let me tell you what. I'll tell you another thing you're going to want is you're going to need, if you got horses, you're going to need saddles. You're going to need pack horse type items like panniers, you know, setups and rigs and saddlebags and stuff to take your belongings on your pack horse. You want to take your food, some ammo, whatever, and you're going to take it up into the high country, out into the canyons, the arroyos, into the deep woods, wherever it might be. You better go to sharpsaddles.com, sharpsaddles.com, and see what they got. You'll also get survival rifle sling, other rifle slings. You can get all kind of stuff. Get a handmade knife for fighting like you cannot believe. High quality, custom made for you. Choose the grip, choose the length, what type of knife you want, and it'll be done by a real cowboy and a real cowgirl who believe in the Lord Jesus. And while you're at it, just say a good prayer for both of them and pray that they're continuing in their life and have the best opportunities for all things. But if you can place an order now and get it ready and get it coming to you. Now, I just wanted to say this, ladies and gentlemen, this Bodie Bowditch, I talked to you about him the other night. And sure as shooting, he's a real good slow talker and, federal bullshit inspector, type person. And now he's in D.C., and guess what he comes out with? The FBI had two clear-cut opportunities to stop this Cruz kid dead in his tracks before he ever came to that school. They had the specific information in their Jackson, Mississippi office from somebody who saw it on the internet and did the right thing. See something, say something, they always tell you. Well, he did. They blew that one. Next one, somebody close to Cruz gives them the information, who he is, what he's doing, and how he plans on doing it. The last September, when the first one came in Jackson, what Cruz said on the internet was, I'm getting ready to become a professional school shooter. Who's going to pay him? Who tuned him up, Bodie Bowditch? Are you lying again? Have you got a handler? Have you got a third handler that handled like the Purdue terrorists, San Bernardino terrorists, or like the stuff going on in Las Vegas where we now have proof of another shell that shot from above, from a high level, like from a helicopter that the witnesses are talking about, and you got a situation where you're slow walking Vegas and the sheriff has to shut his mouth, and you've had the intelligence community involved, probably some Saudi Arabians involved. Why do you think the young kid who's the king now, or the heir to the king, arrested all of his big buddies and relatives and cousins and threw them in the Ritz in chains and tortured them and took their money because they tried to kill him and probably tried to do it and do it in such a way with blood sacrifice and 33rd degree crap and country music guys and Obama and Jarrett stuff and Soros and kill the deplorables kind of a deal, you see. And at the same time, to do what? To get the guns away from all of the deplorables and the crumb scrapers, the crumb eaters out here. Pelosi worth over $100 million a year. Pelosi, why don't you get rid of your guards with guns? Why don't you get rid of your armed bodyguards at your house, at your condo, wherever it is you live? Why don't you get rid of those at your compound? And maybe, just like you think, you can stop illegal immigration if you would mow the grass down there on the southern border, mow the grass so you could see them coming over. There ain't no grass in the desert, Pelosi. Idiot. Idiot. And then what it's about is to take away the guns. I told you last week, Thursday and Friday both, this stuff is coming, and I told you then. We had a situation where you have a Scott Israel, the sheriff, Broward, County. You got Lasky, the FBI agent. Well, who are they reporting to? Are they reporting to the people of Broward County? Or are they reporting to some big mocker, okay? Some big mocker in their world, as they call it. The big mocker, the big cheese, the big Megillah, the big whatever. Is that then Soros fronting for the Rothschild family? And incidentally, the Rothschild family consider themselves to be Luciferians and descended from Nimrod and Semiramis. Other name for Semiramis, Lilith. Oh, yeah. The patterns of black magic on this planet and evil. So are you taking orders from them? And do you want to hug Scott Israel? You want to hug Hillary Clinton? You see, and Biden and all these people? And is that what you want? Oh, you'd love to get that Florida Baker law in there for everybody. And that's what you beg for. Let me have the power to apply this to everybody. What you want is you want background checks and you want mandatory mental health checks. And, of course, if you are a Christian patriot, per the FBI's definition of a terrorist, if you're a Christian patriot, and also the Missouri Intelligence, State Police Intelligence, the MIAC document, veteran, if you're a veteran, you are a suspect of being a terrorist. And you see, they would take away the guns from all veterans from the wars because they are PTSD. And you see all of that stuff. And then Lasky, you blew the tips. Or did you have to stand down because somebody was doing this with MK Ultra tuned up kid who you gave the gun to, the gun you really wanted to get rid of? I don't know, but you got Bodie Bowditch in here saying, and Bodie Bowditch came in and double talked, slow walked on the television and would not agree or was in total denial that the FBI blew the clear-cut 2 warnings, which the governor of Florida stated that the head, Christopher Wray, ought to go bye-bye on. And he should. And you should just because of Comey and all the crap trying to destroy the American system of government and to try to take back the Trump presidency and to try to give it to somebody else in the New World Order crowd. And look at what they're doing with Bibi Netanyahu in Israel. Now he's going up on indictment. He's been indicted. And then they work in his campaign people and assistants and stuff to turn state's evidence on him for cigars and catering and a little bit extra, who knows? But that is part of the deal, and the Israelis have a strong Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu precisely at the time when Israel might go to war against Russia, and then why would then the Rothschilds, why would then they go after Bibi Netanyahu, who would be the strongest leader to lead Israel against Russia, you see? And against the Gog-Magog war, and against Syria. Because you see, the Luciferians want 90% of the population to die on the planet. And then the rest of it to be controlled in concentration camps in cities while they enjoy the beauty of a rewilded countryside, you see? So that there, they got Bodie Buttigieg back. Now let me tell you something here. I guess we need to, if you're going to ban all firearms like the Democrats want, I guess then we should ban vehicles and gasoline and other flammables that a guy drove into a hospital, the Middlesex Hospital, near Bridgeport, Connecticut. So I guess you got to ban that. Got to ban all that stuff. And then I think what we ought to do is just ban all the guns, don't you? Ban all the guns so we can be just like, oh, you wonderful, nice, reformed temple Jewish people, you want to ban all the guns, you see. And that goes for all kind of other people of other religious persuasions, of all the liberals. You want to ban all the guns. Why? So we can be like the south side and west side of Chicago, to where the good people don't have a firearm, but only the bad people do. To where the cops are prevented then from going out and arresting or doing anything against them. That are also run by some of the highest levels of the United States government and intelligence communities, and then the money that going into the money center banks in New York, London, Zurich, Frankfurt, Paris, Vienna, Rome, and in the Middle East. So, yeah, Bodie Buttigieg, you can deny that the FBI had any problems, that the protocols weren't foreign, but the problem is Christopher Wray already said that the FBI blew it, and you did. Sheriff Israel, you and your people were out there, and some of the local PDs out there 36 or 39 times. And you want to take away all the guns, all the assault weapons in the United States because you guys and the FBI blew it on this kid who is likely an MK Ultra shooter tuned up by some element of the United States intelligence community, or maybe even your buddies, the Russians, hired by Joker Tut, Obama, and the Jarrett. Is that still the FBI offsite? The secret society of the FBI? And did you meet maybe over at Obama's poolside? Or because, Obama wanted to know everything about all of it, didn't he? And the armed sheriff's deputy, stood outside the school building and refused to go in the building to take out the shooter. And then now what else have we got going on here? McCain associate takes the Fifth Amendment on the Trump dossier questions. David Kramer, you see. State Department official and associated of Songbird Senator John McCain invoked his Fifth Amendment right not to testify in connection with questions on the House Intelligence Committee. Oh, yeah, about the Trump dossier. Yeah, they got to get rid of him. Because you see, Songbird and his people, Songbird took the pictures with the guys who became ISIS. Because they're part of the game of take down the world and install the New World Order on behalf of the Illuminati working directly for Lucifer. Okay? And they're going to tell you that you can't have a firearm and that your son or your daughter can't hunt or use a shotgun or a rifle and go hunting with you, or that they could not receive. You see where they're going? They're going to do it. And Trump, I don't know if he really knows where he's going with it either, because he thinks one thing, but they asked that same question that Clinton did. What definition of the word "is" are you using? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I can see this still going to where a mental health will be then turned into something that sounds okay ostensibly, but then what you'll find is that it will deny U.S. veterans because alleged PTSD their Second Amendment rights. I'll talk some more about this tomorrow night, and we'll tell you how one guy, little Dickie Jones, who tried to take guns away from veterans, then became a good guy and who's now training teachers. But that's tomorrow night. Don't go into their Luciferian night without a fight. Stand for your family. Stand up for Lord Jesus and your Constitution and your Bill of Rights. Mighty men and women of valor, strike blows with your hand. How much you want the Luciferian scum? That rated, I know you're ready. Mickey LaPoo of Mickey. Keep your eye on the optics, Mickey. Get that breath right, baby. Squeeze. Don't jerk that trigger. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all pray for the Cold War warrior.